Okay, next news story. Not really a news story, more of an update. A couple of weeks ago, we covered, my first impressions of playing EA's WRC on PC, Max PC there, 13900K, RTX 1490. There were two discussion points, really. The poor state of the PC version at launch, which has some pretty egregious shader compilation stutter and other issues, and more generally, whether it was a great idea for Codemasters to shift away from its own Ego engine-powered Dirt Rally titles towards Unreal Engine 4 for EAWRC. And I think we learned that, essentially it was the size of the stages that they needed to do that necessitated that switch. But anyway, after that, EA got in touch to say, hey, we've cured the stutter issues. Maybe you could take another look at EAWRC. And I think we should probably look at the whole game and do a general review on it. But, I didn't have time last week, but I did have time, yesterday. When I say I have time, I did it at night after I finished my work. And basically, I gave it another go. Patch installed, game run. Good news, first of all, the shader compilation stutter is gone, seemingly. Doesn't seem to stutter as badly, if at all, according to, Unreal Engine style limitations. But I've still got issues. And a lot of them are exactly the same as what I pointed out 2 weeks ago. And it's disappointing not to see any kind of movement on this. First of all, I want to talk about camera stutter. This is 4K capture, 60 frames per second. This is just a sort of small pan around a vehicle here. And it just doesn't look right. Obviously, it is 60 frames per second, but the update on the actual camera seems to be off. Alex, you took a look at that, I guess, as well. It just looks wrong, and it actually persists into the game. It's not just this particular view of the of the car, but this
uneven camera movement, like John talked about recently with Mario RPG.
When it
seems very similar to that, but that was induced by frame drops. This just seems to be even at a flat 60, the camera is not moving at the proper rate from frame to frame. The amount of distance between each frame is different. So wrong.
Just looks odd, and it persists into the game as well, which is really not a great thing. The other major issue that I found is that, whenever the car seems to impact with an obstacle on the side of the road or whatever, there's like a massive stutter for some reason.
Yeah, what the heck?
What's that all about? I don't get it. And the third issue, which I didn't actually produce head-to-head assets first time around, but I did it this time around because there's just weird things happening when I do a quick rally, where essentially, it just randomizes everything and it chooses the stage for you. What's happening here is that the first time I play through, bearing in mind RTX 4090, it is max settings, but it's DLSS quality. So, it's 1440p. It can easily handle 60 frames per second locked. But you start the rally and it's not 60 frames per second. It seems to lock to an arbitrarily lower frame rate. It's kind of odd, but then you can restart the rally and it's 60 frames per second, as you would expect. It's just kind of weird. And it was kind of exacerbated on my next test where the first time I tried it, I couldn't get a locked 60 frames per second. The second time I tried it, couldn't get a locked 60 frames per second, but I restart the rally. I've not restarted my computer. I've not restarted the game. I've just used the in-game menu option to restart. And then I get 60 frames per second. And it's worth pointing out that when you do have that sort of lower frame rate, dropping to a lower DLSS quality level, it just makes no difference. So it's not a rendering issue, right? It's just bizarre. So, just a quick update there. I still think, it could well be one of these scenarios where it's, limited to certain PCs or whatever, but unfortunately that's how it looks like on mine. So, EA asked for an update. There's the update. It's not great news still on the PC version, but maybe we should be taking a look at the console versions as well. Any thoughts from you, Alex, having looked at the footage?
Well, I've actually experienced the degradation in performance to an arbitrary frame rate level before in an Unreal Engine game, but it was a UE5 game. It was when I covered, I want to call it Solaris, but it's not called that, darn it. It was the the space Unreal Engine 5 game. I forget what the name of it is that I covered in my... Fort Solis, sorry, thank you. Fort Solis, not Solaris.
Solaris is a very different thing, but also
it's a different thing, but it's a sim style at least. They, in that game too, when I once started it up, it just arbitrarily lacked to 48 FPS and I couldn't get it to go away until I restarted the game. So I've seen similar behavior like that before in a UE title, but here it wasn't the exact same. But it's something I've seen before, so I just wanted to mention that I've seen this before in a UE title thing before. The rest of the issues though are just confounding to me, because especially the one where you like hit the side of the track and the stutters occur, because I have to imagine. Demo. Yes, the Matrix demo was just like that. Oh my God, that's so true, John. I doubt they are using any of that.
I don't think it's related at all.
Yeah, but it is interesting to see like these kind of like basic things having issues, because like those are like basic quality aspects of just like releasing a game, and they're very concerning when I see them. And when I looked at a lot of the graphical presentation here, it is interesting how they had to like, there's no way this had to have required a lot of bespoke work, to say that DF word, because I don't think per default that Unreal Engine 4 specifically very easily supports things like real-time cube map generation, and the cars seem to have it in this game on like the windows and whatnot. So they had to do a lot of work here, most likely, even for the fact to just get like this game looking like the way they did.
Right.
And it's weird to see like they'd spend all the time on those things, but then like the basics are not necessarily there always for the PC version based upon all your testing so far, Rich. So it's just for me in my head, I'm just like wondering, was it worth it to do all this to get it to UE4? To get this one feature of the extended track range when you already had tried and proven technology, which didn't have a lot of these core issues per default.
Yeah. I think the issue for me is that, basically I didn't spend more than half an hour on the game last night, right? I just did some captures, I put in a new graphics driver, nuked the shader cache. So, essentially I wanted to go in as a first-time user would experience this game. And there are things here which are so obviously wrong, where it's either a configuration issue with a specific array of PC hardware, or it's just something that's basically gone wrong with the game. And to see these egregious issues still there after launch, but to actually see them at all, I just can't quite get my head around that. It's just not quite right. But that does seem to be a bit of a problem, especially in the PC space these days, where, you can just fire up a game, and maybe it's just because it's quote unquote it's DF, but no, it's not. Yeah.
It's not.
There are fundamental issues with PC games that are coming to market where, the question is, why are we seeing this? Who played the game? Surely somebody pointed this out. Why wasn't it addressed? It's just baffling to me, and I guess it always will be.